Hello, everyone. I'm Kara Wanigatima with Microsoft Teams Engineering. Thank you for joining me for this session on building a successful champions program. We're going to talk about today how you can empower your end users and deliver more business outcomes by building a champions program that everyone will want to be a part of. So let's hop in. What we're doing is driving the successful adoption of Microsoft 365. And especially today, it's so much more than just thinking about the products that we are teaching people. The most important thing that we have to understand is that we're asking people to change their behavior. That's always a challenge. We have to make sure that people understand why and what for and what they're going to get out of it. But you're not alone. We're here to help you and make sure that you have a community of experts and other customers who are doing exactly the same work. Today, we're going to talk about champions. And if you're new to what a champion is, I'm going to go over what a champion is, what they do, and how they deliver things for you in your organization. The most important thing to understand is that champions are driven by helping others. Yes, we're definitely interested in technology. We're geeks at heart to a great extent, but we're actually interested in helping others. And they're probably the go-to person in your organization already. I'm also going to share with you the best practices and resources that we have from Microsoft to help you build this community. We want to make sure that you know about our Microsoft 365 Worldwide Champion Program. Every month we have fantastic community calls, and you can take our resources and use them in your own program. We hope by doing this and sharing this information will help you get to value more quickly. As you can imagine, we've had to evolve our adoption approach to be relevant for these times. We have a couple of new areas that we want to share with you today and that you should be thinking about as you're building this Champions program. First and foremost, humans first. Many people are under a variety of different types of stress today, and we've all been through a lot as we've made this transition to more remote work given the current situation. So it's very important that you're prioritizing employee health and wellness first. That is actually the cornerstone of any productivity or adoption you may get while working on Microsoft 365, Microsoft Teams, or any other technical adoption program you may be driving. Secondly, we have what's now called the modern collaboration architecture. That really helps us evolve the what tool when conversation. If you've followed any of my work over the years, you'll know I'm not really a fan of that conversation. I don't really think that that's the right question to ask, but everyone does. And so I'm going to share with you the top level of some of that information, and we've got lots more for you out on our new adoption.microsoft.com hub for all of this content. Lastly, we want to make sure that we're delivering on business outcomes. And that's where the Microsoft 365 adoption framework comes in. It really helps you have an execution plan of which champions are a part of how you're going to roll out technology in your organization aligned to your company's business outcome. Many times people talk about the technology and the features and they forget about the rest. We believe that those outcomes are key to making sure that the work you're doing as a champion leader and in your champions program are aligned to what's really important for your stakeholders. When we think about that humans first activity, it's really important to be thinking about that health and well-being. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. This time has been a great learning opportunity for many of us in this champion space and in the community space as well. And so we want to give you some resources that will help you learn how to use Microsoft Teams and other tools to engage with your coworkers and customers beyond work topics. Many of us who are still working remotely, we miss that day-to-day interaction that we had with our colleagues at the water cooler, in the lunchroom, just talking and connecting. There are ways that you can bring that into your organization by using Microsoft Teams. And we've got some ideas about that out on adoption.microsoft.com, whack humans first. You'll be able to find the resources we have and some of the ideas, and we'd love for you to share yours. But this is important for you to be able to share with your champions. Your champions are people who can minimize the stress of learning new tools under pressure in your organization. So you want to arm them with these ideas. You can formalize these types of social engagements with online happy hours or trivia games, things of that nature. Even inside Microsoft, we're doing this in our own team, and it makes such a difference to the course of my day to know that I can make this connection with people that I'm working with. The other part of this is Encourage the champions to support work-life balance, but also make sure that your team culture in your champions program is reflective of that balance, right? So make a statement about your culture being open and inclusive. Make sure that people understand that you're as invested in their welfare as champions as they need to be in the groups that they are serving. Being a leader of a champions program is as much a calling as it is a job. You can take that from me. I've been doing this work for many, many years out in the field and here at Microsoft. And, it's really important to provide that kind of emotional support to your champions who are often out there by themselves helping others learn. So make that statement, include it in your champions program yourself, and then you can be living that authentically with the people who are out there serving. Now, for those of you who may have taken the Adoption Specialist course, you'll be familiar with this information. But if you're new, we believe that there are 6 core capabilities that you need to drive adoption in any size organization. You need to understand organizational development practices, have some business acumen, have technical competence to know how to apply the technology to any given situation, be a good communicator, manage your projects, and be a leader. These areas are the things that you can develop in our Worldwide Champions program, in our courseware, and here right now as you watch this session. So let's go a little bit deeper into who champions are. I mentioned before that they are people who are motivated by helping others, but they also create that groundswell of enthusiasm. They're usually the go-to person in their department. Everyone knows someone who knows how to get things done. Those people are fantastic for recruiting into the Champions program. It is usually an opt-in process and becomes a formal part of their job. This allows them to be able to give it the time and effort that it deserves alongside their other duties. They really are the ones who make it real. You can roll out Microsoft Teams, but if somebody doesn't show you how to manage a project in Teams or how to find new training information or be there to host an office hours, people will struggle. And when people are struggling, they go back to what they know. So you may roll out Teams but not see the adoption that you want unless you have these champions to help you with that plan. They also are key to providing feedback to the project team and its sponsors. We need to understand, how are these changes being understood right there in the field where people are using the technology. Sometimes when you're back in the IT department, as many of us are, or in the training or service management area, you're a little step away from the people who are actually out there on the front lines using the technology. You want those champions to tell you how these things are being received. And champions are also essential to reducing strain on that core project team. They have this active, ongoing engagement with people, again, hosting office hours, running trainings, things of that nature. And most IT departments are not well staffed for that. Especially today, with pressure on IT departments to deliver more with less, the champions are essential to broadening the scope and support that's available. Champions, however, are not support agents. That's not what they do. They are not there to resolve technical difficulties with people logging into a computer or getting a new device. So they don't replace your help desk or service desk support staff, but they do reduce the tickets. And this is an important thing also when service desks can be overwhelmed with all of the new use cases that people are encountering today. You want to build a sustainable champions community. And this means that you, as a champion of champions, need to have the ability to commit to leading that community. As you'll notice in our community, we host a monthly call, and that is something that we recommend. Make sure that you have regular touch points with your champion community. Give them the training that they need to be effective. There's nothing worse than being a champion and wanting to answer someone's question and not knowing the answer yourself because no one told you. So make sure you're investing in those champions with the kind of training they need ahead of the users so that they can be really helpful. They need to be encouraged and give them consistent and positive reinforcement that there is an impact to their efforts. Some of the best champions programs that I've seen around the world have dashboards that show the type of usage that's being driven, but also the reduction in service desk tickets and other things. Champions have that emotional connection to the people that they serve. And so they need to understand that they're really helping people to feel a sense of accomplishment. It's really that sense of accomplishment more than any other reward you could design that keeps a champion community going. And that is from the research that we've done around the world on feedback from champions themselves. They simply want to be acknowledged that the work that they are doing has meaning. There are 5 steps to developing a champions community. Set the context. What is your champions community going to be accountable for, at least to begin with? In many cases around the world lately, it's been Microsoft Teams, but maybe you're doing another type of project. It may not even be Microsoft technology, but you can leverage champions to help drive any kind of change that you want to do in your organization. But for the purposes of this conversation, I'll use the Teams rollout as an example. So you're going to set the context. So you're going to roll out Microsoft Teams for calling and chat and collaboration. That context will help people understand how to answer questions as they come in from the users. You're going to design and align that champions community to the organizational objectives. I hope very much that you're not rolling out Teams just to roll it out. I'm hoping that you're rolling out so that you can have better collaboration, connect with customers, keep your field agents, if you have them, in the loop, things like that. Those are the top level objectives that you want to make sure that champions understand, but that also the IT pro team who is partnering with you to roll out this technology also have firmly in hand. So a vision is key. You want to identify those champions. And again, you probably know who some of those champions are. Oftentimes, we simply put out a survey. You can use Microsoft Forms for this and ask people if they would like to participate in a champions program. Would they like to be one? Most people opt in. But also, if you know people who are influential, who already help others, you should recruit them. This will also allow you to, as a champion of champions, as the leader of this community, have an identification of people who can support you. The best champions program have a group of people who are really in a leadership stance. And so if you go on vacation, if you're out sick, that champions program won't rely on just you. There'll be a group of people who can help you keep information flowing to the overall champions program. You build a plan with those core leaders, and that plan usually also aligns to the IT Pro milestones for the rollout. Your group may be doing it in phases to certain departments. Maybe they're going to do it where everyone gets chat, but they're going to roll out additional features later. There's a lot of ways to roll out Microsoft Teams. So make sure that your champion leaders are firmly embedded with the IT Pro and technical team that's working on the project. You all should be working hand in hand together to create a great experience for employees. Lastly, you're going to execute and iterate. That means having those meetings, getting feedback, and changing things as they go along. Flexibility is key, and it's actually a part of the Agile service management methodology that has become so important over time to IT professionals. So make sure you go through those 5 steps as you think about where those champions are going to fit into the overall launch plan. Here you can see the different types of work streams, and there can be many more if you look at one of our deployment project plans. But overall, champions fit into all of these areas: the adoption approach, the types of business scenarios you're trying to empower, the communications and training work stream, and IT and social governance. Champions can tell governance committees the types of policies that will and won't be followed in an organization. Now, it's normal that in a governance committee, there's usually some push and pull between the folks accountable for security and the people trying to deliver a great experience. The proper decision is usually somewhere in the middle. But this way, when champions have a seat at the table, those folks making those governance decisions can have a better understanding of the day-to-day experience of end users in your environment. So these are the different places where champions will fit into that overall launch plan. But know that launch planning is only the beginning. It's really about ongoing operations and driving adoption all up where champions really begin to shine. They provide that additional assistance as people get onto the software, and they do things like host those office hours and ask us anything events. We hope that you're running your champions program with a team in Microsoft Teams. It's the best way to keep people together. And again, that's one of our best practices. But we certainly want to make sure that it's not a one and done activity. Being a champion is a commitment over time. And we usually ask our champions to at least make a year or an annual half a year commitment to the program so that we can skill them up and they can start to get their steam. Part of this is reputation management in an organization. People now know to come to me to ask me about Microsoft Teams or SharePoint or Yammer. I've built that reputation amongst my peers. You need to make sure that champions in your organization have enough time to build their own reputations for being problem solvers and being informed about what's going on in your organization. We've got for you here a checklist about how to really stand up this champions program. So finding those enthusiastic people that I mentioned, building the Microsoft team, providing materials, and this is where our worldwide program really comes in. We have a list of information and PowerPoint decks and recordings that you can use to train your own champions. All you have to do is sign up at our champions program location and you'll be able to get access to all that information. And we publish new information every month. One of the things to remember about being a champion is things do change. We're Microsoft, and with our services in the cloud, we're rolling out new features all the time. It's actually never been more essential to be a champion or a service adoption specialist, nor more challenging. And so it's important to make sure that people have access to the right information at the right time. Sometimes as a champion leader, your job is to curate what's important. Not every feature that Microsoft releases is important to your particular end users. You don't have to tell them everything, but you do want to make sure that they understand things that are essential to the people that they're trying to support. You can do this in that regular rhythm that you have and making sure that you're designing a program that keeps people engaged. You don't want a champions community meeting where you're doing all the talking. You want to make sure that you allow time for question and answer. Provide a forum where other people can ask questions, like in Microsoft Teams or like we do out on the Driving Adoption Forum on the tech community. I want to make sure that people feel like their voices are heard, even if you don't agree with their feedback, and especially when you don't agree with their feedback. It's very important that people feel heard. Right? This process of collaboration needs to be collaborative. So avoid trying to feel like you're the one dictating everything. Being a champion leader is really about a group activity. And hopefully you enjoy that, or you'll find other people who do, so that you can have a thriving community that people really enjoy being a part of. Again, you can incorporate all of our information. And if you don't know about Microsoft 365 Learning Pathways, which is our free end user training template that you can install right in your own tenant, you should definitely check that information out on our Adoption Hub. It's a fantastic way to build playlists of information where people can learn how to use applications, Teams and SharePoint and Word and Excel, and built right into SharePoint that you can configure. We also have a Teams app that brings this knowledge directly into Teams. So it's a fantastic tool for champions, and I like to empower them to build their own playlists. That's awesome. Create contests and have fun with your people. Again, one of the things that's missing in some of this remote work is that connection that we have with other folks. And so anything that you can do to bring people together in a more fun way is useful. And sometimes champions can be kind of competitive, like how many office hours can I hold, right? How many great questions can I answer? And online scavenger hunts or trivia about being a champion might be really useful. So get creative and make sure that creativity is in alignment with the culture of your organization. What works for me at Microsoft might not work for me at another organization. So I'm mindful of the people that I work with, and I try to design things that are fun for them. You want to encourage all of your champions to sign up individually for that worldwide program. Why? Because if they're getting that information directly from us and participating in the forum and the calls, that will minimize the effort you have to take to make sure that they're trained. So make sure that you go through that sort of checklist with people and help them. So here are some lessons from people who have been running champions program around the world. As I mentioned, we have a forum of champion leaders in the driving adoption area on the tech community. And again, it's an area that you get access to when you sign up for our program. But the most important thing that you can do as a leader right now, and certainly as a champion, is listen. If you listen long enough, people will tell you what they need. You may be wanting to tell them all about using tasks in Teams, but they're still struggling with chat. Right? If you give people too much information too early or too quickly, they are neurologically going to stop being able to ingest that information. And so we have to be really thoughtful about that right now. Also, if you're an IT pro and you're listening to this session, listen to your champions. They're going to tell you what is and isn't working, what policy adjustments you might need to make, what adjustments to the governance process you might need. It might just be that you need the champion's help communicating why you made a certain IT policy decision. But listening is at the heart of being a great champion and running a useful program. So is having consistent champion leadership. As I mentioned, whether you're running a public user group or an internal champion program, have a core team of people who can share chairing those meetings and organizing content. Especially if you're running the champions on top of other duties, it's important to be able to share the load. It's very difficult when there's only one person doing this for an entire organization. So maybe you are a team of one, as I have been more than once in my career. You want to recruit other people who are enthusiastic about this and who are willing to help you deliver those trainings or those monthly calls. And some people do them every 6 weeks or what have you. I will tell you that if you only are meeting with your champions once a quarter, that's probably not enough. And the reason it's not enough is that our services are changing way more than that, and people have a greater desire to engage, especially remotely, than once a quarter. So every 6 weeks is pretty much a minimum. So you may need to share the load with others. Make sure that you're rewarding those champions for maximum impact. And again, I don't mean with money or swag or stuff. I mean with sincere thanks. And if you can get the leadership in your organization to come to one of your community calls and provide that thanks, that's even better. It's important that they be seen and heard and feel appreciated. And this goes directly back to the health and wellness of all employees, but especially your champions. They are likely taking the brunt of people's stress as they continue in this remote work world. So as we chart our future together, it's important to invest in these people. Another successful tip is for the champion leadership to create themes. Oftentimes, we will create themes around particular activities or things we want people to learn. For instance, apps in Teams. Did you know that you can embed OneNote right in Teams or pop out to the desktop application? What about pulling Planner, which is now tasks in Teams, into a team to be able to do action tracking from a board? There's now lists are available. There's a lot of cool apps, and sometimes people won't find those things unless you share it with them. So creating themes month over month is helpful to allowing people to learn in bites. They need manageable bites of new information over the course of time versus taking someone through a full day course, for instance, on all the ins and outs of Teams. I started in this business as a trainer, and I was teaching WordPerfect to lawyers, if you can imagine that. And one thing I know that's different today is that the lawyers that I would have in a 3-day course where I was teaching them all about the system that we had implemented, people would not be able to sit for that today. And especially now in this time of remote work, people really do need more bite-sized chunks of information. So breaking things into themes is a great way to get that information to the people who need it. As you continue on, people are always going to ask you what tool when. And again, you've heard me before say this, I'm not a fan of this question because this focuses on the technology instead of the outcome. But people who are human and they want a quick and easy answer. Well, at Microsoft, we have a lot of different options for you, and that's why quick and easy answers can sometimes be challenging. You should take information from the modern collaboration architecture and tailor it for your own organization. Maybe in your organization you haven't deployed Liammer or people don't have access to Stream. Then you're going to change this information based on what you have deployed in your own organization. But from a Microsoft perspective, we definitely see that there are different types of collaboration and therefore different tools people should be using. There's individual, team, community, and organizational collaboration, and there are different tools for each. There's a fantastic video by one of my colleagues on this. He's the author of the Modern Collaboration Architecture. You should definitely check it out. It's available both on our adoption site and as well as a part of this content track. So learn more about the Modern Collaboration Architecture and how you can leverage its clarity for making sure people have access to the right tool at the right time. Just promise me you'll connect it to a business outcome. So it'll actually be something that a user needs. For those of you out there who really love this champion work and who want to take it further, I'm also the author of the Microsoft Service Adoption Specialist course. And by taking this course, you are basically earning that badge, that certificate that will allow you to say, yes, Microsoft has taught me the best practices in driving service adoption, and I have passed the course that teaches that information. And so many people at this point have already taken this course. If you haven't, I highly suggest it. You can audit it or you can go for the full badge, and both things are great. I just really want there to be a clear and actionable plan for how you drive the adoption of Microsoft services. If any of you out there have already gotten certified with something like ProSci or another organizational development methodology, that's great. This course is focused on the adoption of Microsoft services and is designed to work alongside a ProSci certification. So there's the human side of this from an organizational development work, and then how do you actually go about using the right tactics and tricks to make sure that you're going to have a sustainable adoption motion in your company. Remember that while you'll learn this for Microsoft software, you can also apply this to many other types of change in an organization. Well, that was a lot. Now that you've heard about the best practices and what we believe is a successful champion program, I want to share with you some information that comes right from inside Microsoft. So you may think that because we're all Microsoft employees that we just automatically use all our software, but that couldn't be further from the case. We're humans like everyone else, and we too need a teamwork champion program inside Microsoft. When I was a part of Microsoft IT, I was happy to start this program, and it lives on today in the hands of some amazing people who have built it beyond any of our wildest dreams. The Microsoft Teamwork Champions program, again, goes beyond the borders of just Microsoft Teams. It helps people to know how to do teamwork, and that's why they're called that. They've recruited people well, and they've scaled quickly to meet the demand. And this was before the current work from home situation. There was already a need for people inside Microsoft to get supported in understanding our cloud services and really using them to the best of their ability. We've done fantastic things like provide them with stickers and tools to make sure that we're recognizing these teamwork champions. And there are these monthly calls. So we follow all of the best practices in the public program in our own internal program. And there's been fantastic results. One of the things I notice about champion teams, whether the one inside Microsoft or the others I've had the privilege of working with around the world, is these people are so enthusiastic. They're really committed to helping the people in their various departments and organizations learn and grow. And so we, from an organizational perspective, have a portal where you can go and look. It's a main page on our intranet inside Microsoft. You can go and find the champion that's near you. Making sure that users and champions come together is essential. And we want to make the expectations simple and clear. Inside Microsoft, we call those gives and gets. What are we making sure that champions are giving the organization? But what do champions also get from being a part of the program? They get access directly to product group engineers like myself and to leadership to share their insights. They get early knowledge of new features. They have access to the community. They get those badges and visual representations of them being a part of something bigger than themselves, leaderboards, and they get recognition. And again, overwhelmingly in the surveys that we've done, the research that we've done, it's that recognition that is most important to those champions. So they have been able to drive unbelievable value in the organization. There's a difference. Organizations and groups inside Microsoft who have active champions, we're driving much more usage of Microsoft Teams, and it's healthy usage, right? It's not just about lurking, but people are posting, they're sharing documents, they're tracking tasks, they're actually using the tool as we would want them to use it. And so a champion clearly makes a difference in the usage of an application, even inside Microsoft. We can check that with the usage analytics that are built into Microsoft Teams, but there's also something called a productivity score and other usage reports that you can see in the Microsoft Teams Administration Center. You may not have access to that, but you can ask your IT admin to give you reader rights within the admin portal so that you can see those reports. It's really important to understand what is the impact of the work that you're doing. And these analytics that are built into our experiences now will help you do that. Right? We identified internally some elements of healthy teamwork, communicating, sharing, and collaborating that can be measured inside of Microsoft 365 with these types of analytics and tools. And more of that is coming. If you're using Core Insights or if you're onboarding to some of our knowledge management tools, you'll be able to do even more with this. But at a very basic level, it's important to understand, what do you define in your company as healthy teamwork? It's important to keep that community relevant and engaged. So again, even inside Microsoft, we have a process where these people can come together within the Microsoft team where they work. They have these monthly calls so that they can learn new information. They invite guest speakers like myself to come and share what's coming and what's happening next. And really, they have bonded with each other, especially over the course of time. This Teamwork Champions program is very mature. It's been running for several years. I'll call it probably 5 years at this time. But the key there is, even though people have come and gone, there's a core group who has remained because they find it to be meaningful, right? The program has given them a sense of purpose, it's given them information, and it allows them to feel more effective. Being a champion is an honor and a privilege, and nothing has been more of an honor and a privilege to me than being the leader of the Worldwide Champions program for Microsoft. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to everything that we've shared today, and just know that we're here to help. The Microsoft technical community has forums available for all of our various services, but most importantly, at least for us, it has a forum dedicated to driving adoption. Not only can you reach me there, but many of your colleagues and other experts who are doing this work every day. I'm Kara Wanigatima with Microsoft. I'm happy to have been with you today. Thanks so much.